Joseph Robinette Biden wants to dig the grave of the special relationship. It has emerged that the US president has been lobbying for the unelected president of the European Commission, one Ursula von der Leyen, to become the next NATO Secretary-General. And that's only after he vetoed the United Kingdom's candidate. Our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, earlier this year had been trying to encourage our NATO friends to back Defence Secretary Ben Wallace as the next NATO chief. But Biden, with his sentimental Irish dislike of the United Kingdom, blocked it. And now he's lobbying for a failed former German defence minister instead of a successful British one. Wallace has been so important as Defence Secretary. He led the way with the war in Ukraine, which has been the defining event of foreign policy for a generation. And Britain led the world in its support for Ukraine before Putin's invasion began. Before. That's the key thing. It was Ben Wallace who persuaded the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson to begin the process of sending arms to Ukraine so that when Russia invaded, Ukraine had some equipment it could use to defend itself. Germany at the time opposed it. We did not fly over German airspace because we thought Germany would not give us permission. Indeed, Germany simply offered helmets in support of Ukraine. Since the war began, the United Kingdom has been second only to the United States as the largest donor to the Ukrainian cause. We have set up a training programme for 30,000 Ukrainian personnel. We have promised to train aircraft pilots. We have sent tanks. We have had Zelensky visit on a number of occasions, and both Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson have been to Ukraine to show their support. When Boris first went, he went at considerable personal risk. Meanwhile, the EU, under von der Leyen's leadership, dithered and delayed. Germany vacillated over its energy policy, owing to its huge reliance on Russian gas and oil, and indeed one of its former leaders, Gerhard Schröder, was working for the Russian gas giant Gazprom at the time. Germany also took months to send heavy weaponry to Ukraine, and France was equally sluggish. But bear in mind, France and Germany appeased Russia in the 2014 Minsk agreement, and yet, on this defining issue, one that has reinvigorated the Western world, brought the Western world together, President Biden chooses a Eurocrat with a history in medicine rather than Ben Wallace with a history of serving in the armed forces. Ursula von der Leyen did serve as Defence Secretary for Germany before becoming a Eurocrat, but she was criticised by the likes of Helmut Kohl's Defence Secretary for leaving the German army in a catastrophic condition. She also found herself embroiled in scandal over contracts worth tens of millions of euros awarded to consultancy firms. Interestingly, when the German Federal Audit Office investigated and looked at her telephone, the evidence had seemingly been deleted. Odds fish. So, for Ms von der Leyen, it's one unearned and one unelected role to another. Promote people who don't work to a better job. Perhaps she might like to become Governor of the Bank of England next. But it's clear, Joe Biden, unlike most American politicians, has a problem with the United Kingdom. This is part of a broader pattern of behaviour. He opposed extradition of our terrorists in the past, and we've covered on this programme before when he's been pictured grinning with Gerry Adams and IRA supporter Rita O'Hare. The President is due to arrive for his visit to the United Kingdom on Sunday. But what is the point? He doesn't like us.